Let me see. No, we're not there. Let me see. We're over. Does that sound right? Shinkov off. Let me see. I wrote it down here. 334 is where we're at. 334. There we go. Okay, I got it now. Now we're getting to the end of this. It says Istankos Rebbe Shimon by Ben Yochai. So this is a very beautiful piece. Let's see if we can understand it. I'm Rebbe Abba. So Rebbe Abba, I think, was the scribe. It was writing this down. I don't remember 100%. Lo Sayim Butze Decha Kedusha de Mechayim. So let's go back. I guess we have to go back a little bit to page Shen Lamed Bet at the top. And we'll just read the sequence. It says, "V'naged bracha b'kol shayfa gufa." So this bracha came down into all the different places in the body. Ad inun diikun svakos, until it reaches that place which we had said before is a tubeim. V'al halchum negido are the inside netzachod. Halchum negida is negid mikol gufa. So this flow down, which going down through the entire body, miskan sherabitam, and it actually gathers at that place. Ba'al dacha ve'ikrin svakos, and so that's the reason why they're called a host or an army. The call svakos, the Elohim, the Satoim, Tam and Nafkim. So I guess all of the energies from up there come into this. Ba'alchum negida rebabasa the iskadesh taman. So then, this, after it enters into these bayim, I think that's what he's talking about. Sharim le b'hachu yisod kadisha. So then they go into the yisod. So and all of it is white. Begin kach ikre chesed. That's the reason why it's called chesed. V'hachu chesed ayel l'kodesh kadashim. So this chesed goes into the holy of holies. Dechsev kisham sivach Hashem as habracha Chaim ad olam. So that's that pasuk. So now he said, now the Zohar says, Amar Rebbe Abba lo sayim butzin ikadisha the meimer Chaim. He didn't say that last word. The last word, I guess. Lo hispik. One second. So then it says, where is lo hispik? Lo hispik Rebbe Shimon. Haner hakadosh lomar milas Chaim. He didn't have sufficient time to say that. The Gemara is called a pasuk. Ki sham sivach Hashem as a bracha Chaim ad olam. That's the rest of the bracha, I guess. Ad the ishtakaku milui kodim shenishkatel devarav. But before his words completely and totally stopped, ki also nishmasel l'malaka shenigba gamar lomar milas abracha. So therefore, it stopped at that point. Rebbe Abba says, I'm writing here, along the way as we're talking about this. Let me see, where am I? I looked up. Once I do that, I lose the place. Lo yudat shegavor nistalik Rebbe Shimon. I'm a little bit up with that. V'kol hemshech hapasuk ad sofam zavarno lemichtav tefei. So he said, so then, therefore, I wrote it down. I thought to write it down, from my memory, I guess. Because I didn't realize he was gone. So therefore, my thought continued on to the pasuk. But we didn't. But I didn't hear anything else because he was gone. Zakafte as Roshech of the Rose, and I didn't lift up my head to see. Lama Psak Rebbe Shimon as the bar of why he stopped talking. Varatam the Nehorach Havasagi, because there's a tremendous amount of light there. Below Havi Yechilna Nistaklo. Zerabaki or Hoyogoda Maoda, there was a tremendous bright light around him, I guess. Below Havisach of Yachol, the Histanko Bamakom Rebbe Shimon, it wasn't able to look at that place. So he said, the hockey is daz, but then the worms started shaking. So I started to shake. Shimon Rabbi called the koi ka'omer. So Rabbi Kishimata Rabbi Kol Shal Ma'ala Modir V'Sachar Ma'alas Rabbi Shimon. And then I heard a voice coming from beyond, I guess he says from up above. And it was announcing the milas of Rebbe Shimon, Gan Eden, that he has now arrived in Gan Eden, and now Gan Eden is like a chorus of welcome. Vorma orach yamim anishnos ushnos chaim v'shalom yosifo. So he says orach yamim. I guess it means everlasting life. Shnos chaim, life, years full of life. V'shalom yosifo l'chol. That should be added on to you. B'cholam haba in the next world. V'achar kach shemana kal achra. Then I heard another voice. That's one voice of praise, welcoming him in. Shemate kol acha shemachriz va'omer. There's another announcement. It says Chaim. He says the word Chaim. Began Eden. It's coming from Gan Eden. He said im achi hashiloni. He says so. This came from him. Shaul Membecho is asking from Rebbe Shimon the Desata Shalaso, and I gave him my question. I had this question. I don't think I understood that very well. He says, that he's heard another voice, and the voice said, Shemachris, the word Chaim, and it's coming out of the Gan Eden. So what is Achia Shiloni had Shaul Mimbecho? He's asked a question for you. He says, was that what it is? So Rebbe Shimon also, so I gave him the question that he had, and he lived there for eternity. So he says, all that call Rebbe Shimon to the period of the time that he left. There was a fire around his house. Rebbe Shimon. So I guess it's inside the house. I'm not sure. So let's go on. The loch of Yechilu. The loch of man. Nobody could come near him. The loch of Yigash, the Rebbe Shimon, the rose im nis aleph o nistalek min olim to in order to be able to see if he had become more weakened or that he's gone. Because they weren't able to come near him. Because I guess he was machmas how or v'ha'esh because of the light and the tremendous, that brilliant light he talked about, and the fire shehoyim misavavim as Rebbe Shimon, which surrounded Rebbe Shimon, mashach kol osach hayom to the whole length of that day. V'omer Rebbe Abba said, in the film of Rebbe Ara. The foul that we fell down on the face because we were so terrified. So we cried out for the tremendous pain that we had to Kodesh Baruch Hu. Sheita and Lana Bershus, the Geshes, the Rebbe Shimon, that should give us permission to come near to Rebbe Shimon. Today the rose Imnis Aleph. To read this, so now that whether he became weakened or nistalek ben olamar, he's finally gone. Hashem shematz akasim. Hashem heard their cries. Nistalek ha'esh misaviv shesaviv is Rebbe Shimon. So the fire that surrounded Rebbe Shimon stopped. V'amer Rebbe Abba secha bebasa the azil isha. La'achar shenistalko ha'esh saviv is Rebbe Shimon. Now the fire is gone. So now says Rebbe Abba. The Kadisha Kodesh Kadashim, so he's a Kodesh Kadashim, the Istalik Min Alma. Azra Isi. So then he writes, that's when I saw the Rebbe Shimon, Ner HaKadosh, Kodesh HaKadashim, Shenistalik Min Olam, that he left the world, is no longer in the world with it. Is Ate V'Re'isi Oso Ma'uta B'Taliso, I saw him wrapped in his talis. Shkiv Al Yamina, he was lying on his right side. But his face had a great smile. Because when he left the world in joy. Come, Rebbe Elazar, his son got up. Come, Rebbe Elazar, Benosha, Rebbe Shimon. Until Yadoi Nishik long, so he took his hand and he kissed. He kissed his two hands, the hands of Rebbe Shimon. Rebbe Abba said, I licked as ha'afar shetachas ragle Rebbe Shimon. This is like I licked. I think it lachakti. That's what I thought it meant. He says the dust that was underneath the feet of Rebbe Shimon. That's, I guess, metaphoric. Vamar Odin, he says, because as we saw, the Rebbe Shimon was gone. Everybody wanted to cry. And they also were aroused to start eulogizing, I guess, speaking about this tremendous, this lost object. Or lost, yeah, let's say just that. But they weren't able to talk. Say the tremendous pain, they couldn't talk. When they saw that they couldn't talk, they began, the chevra began to cry. His son Rebbe Lever fell 3 times. Rebbe on his father's face. But he was not able to open up his mouth. He couldn't open his mouth. The daber to speak, because he was in such tremendous pain. The Basra after this, then the power of speech came back to Rebbe Elazar. So he opened his mouth. And he said, Father, Father, he said, we used to be 3, it used to be you and the Shechina. Chad is Chazro. And the Sharate, but now here I'm by myself. I've been left by myself because the Shechina left. And you've gone back to your place of rest. So he says, I have the word wanders. The Shechina has wandered away. He says, I guess nav and nod. I guess that's a kind of word over there. So now she's had to wander away from her place. She's not there anymore. And she's gone. Sifron Tzasin. But Neshamas Tzadikim, what about the Neshamas Tzadikim and the crime Sfarim who are called here birds? So that they will go, they'll fly away, and they'll go to them. And then they went, I guess, and they were quiet. This is such a shtika. Into the great sea. Gan Eden should be Yesod Nukva. So let's go back to that. He says this is a different Gan Eden, or a Gan Eden that exists in the Yesod of the Nukva. Now that phrase should require some examination. How is it that we say that the Gan Eden, there is a Gan Eden that exists in the Yesod of the Nukva? It's always saying that Gan Eden is an aspect of Bina. So it could be the Bina of Yesod, something like that. I don't know. Talmidei Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai. Up to that time, the wisdom they had been learning from Rebbe Shimon. Where'd it go? Rebbe Shimon. And it was like they were drinking milk and honey from him, and mayim chayim, and living water, the energy waters. Shehem sodas Torah, which are what? Which are the secrets of the Torah. Hare ata shenestalik Rebbe Shimon ben Ahoda, but now you see Rebbe Shimon. He's gone from the world. Kulhu shayim dama. Kulam yishtu dam. Now it's like they're drinking blood. So meaning that now that they don't have the pure, straight answers coming from Rebbe Shimon, now now they start thinking off the track a little bit on the ladam, which could be compared to blood. Come Rebbe Chia al Raglav. So Rebbe Chia stood up on his feet. Come Rebbe Shimon until now. This great torch, mistakel alone. He was looking at us. Rebbe Shimon, Haner HaKadosh, mistakel, he was mashgiach, he looked at us, he watched us, and mashgiach aleinu. He supervised us. So it's only fitting that we should repay him his reward. Hashtag lavku idan. V'lechein ein atach of zman. So now it's not the time. That we should be crying about what's happened to us, about our end. Ma yihi aleinu, what's going to happen to us now? Ela lihishtadla bikare. What we need to do, ela lihishtadla b'kfo, to work with his, to make an effort to maintain his glory. V'leholicho l'marach gevuraso, the maras gevuraso, to bring him to the cave of his burial. Come, Rebbe Cholozav, Rebbe Abba, they both stood up. Rebbe Cholozav, Rebbe Abba, the Nigshur, the Rebbe Shimon, and they came near to Rebbe Shimon. Notlach betikra the silka. The local also bekise hamayuchu the tilto b'nei adam. You know, these the kings are carried around on it. Okay, we understand it. The Levi and the mace. Hamayuchu the tilto b'nei adam b'makom l'makom from one place to another. So they had some kind of way of transport. Kedei l'chaniach osocha b'al hamita, in order to place him on the burial bed. Amiyuchedes the gevura, which is made for burial. Also shot at that moment, man chama irbu v'yachadachavre. Mi rohab as bil v'chadash shochoyel, who is able to see how confused everybody was. Machmas rov b'chiyah v'tzar, because they had been crying so much. They're just like, it sounds like they were wandering around, they didn't know what to do. V'chol b'beis achav saleg reichin. V'choy kol chabayis ma'ala reichos tovas, and the whole house was perfumed with beautiful smells. Shalgan, and where did the smells come from? They come from Gan Eden. Saliku be before v'haluchu al mitaso, so they lifted up onto his bed, his burial bed. Hamiyuched is the gevura. Below yishtamesh be. Below nisasku b'taharasa, but they didn't get involved in doing a tahara on him. Ella Rebbe Elazar, Rebbe Abba. Excuse me, there were only two that were left for that. The Rebbe Elazar, Rebbe Abba, his son, and the right hand man. Asa Rebbe Trikin, Bo Gevurim Hamakim. Bo Gevurim Hamakim. I don't know what these Gevurim Hamakim means. What's it? Umari Treason. Okay, so he means striking soldiers. Geburim, that are swordsmen, I guess, or something like that. Umari Treason are shield bearers. Abali Megina of the Milchama. So shield bearers for war. They come from, now this is all metaphoric. So he said, whoops. Okay, we're back. So we're at the top of page, the right column on Shun Lamates, and it says also Trikim. So these soldiers came, Bo Giborim Amakim, so these striking soldiers, Umari Trisim, and shield bearers, the Kfar, Shal Kfar Tzipori, and they came from this village called Birds, the place of birds. V'ratza the Holig Bekoich of Yad Chazaka, so they wanted to take over, and they wanted to overcome, the Chaverim with a strong hands at Mitaz over Rabbi Shimon, the Kfar Tzipori. They wanted to take him and bury him in Tzipori. They Lekov Rosh Sham, in order to bury them. V'tardon Behu B'nei Merona. So he said V'gir Shorosam, but they were sent away by the B'nei Meron, by people who came from Meron. Tzavchin B'ktirim V'tzaku, and they cried out Aleichem on them. So there's a tremendous force that was coming out of Meron in its unity to be able to bring Rebbe Shimon over there. So let's get this right. They considered that they would be able to have success over the Geburim, Shal Kfar Tzipori, the holy Imam has been taught so that the burial of Rebbe Shimon should take place in Meron. He talked about Mitas Rebbe Shimon the Kfar Tzipori. So they took them to Lo Yis Kfar Talman, that he shouldn't be buried there. So they wanted not to be buried there in Tzipori. Ella Etzlam b'Meron, they wanted to be buried in Meron. Basa the Navipuria. Achasha mitas Rabbi Shimon Yatsa Rabbi Nebayis, and now as the burial the bed of Rabbi Shimon, I get to carry him, leaves the house. Naasa Nes min Shemaim, the Nes came from heaven. Havasalik Baravira. And it went high. It started to defy gravity and started to rise. And now Malachim came, and they were able to carry his bed. And there was a fire that was kindled in front of this burial bed. And then the voice came out from up above. Shemachris v'obis was announcing. It says like this: Ulu v'asav is ganasho. He comes to visasa. So he says, enter in and come. Visasa be gathered into your place. The hilula the Rebbe Shimon the simchas, and this word hilula he says is the simcha of Rebbe Shimon. So he says, Shimon, Gedei Lulavos as Rebbe Shimon, and this is all for the purpose of escorting Rebbe Shimon al Makom Menuchasos, and now his I guess what you call his coffin, or how that burial bed would be, is being accompanied by these angels. V'od hiskri the kol hikris hakol shal mala. So now there's an announcement of this voice from up above. And for the glory of Rebbe Shimon, Yavu Shalom Yanucho al Mishkavosim. Come peace. Yanucha, and place him on his resting place. Kan Achol the so now he has entered into the cave. And as he entered into this cave, there was a voice came out of the cave. Shama kol shal mala. This is a voice from the world beyond. Besocha ma'ara. Rebbe Shimon, and once again, all the praises, announcing all the praises and the great qualities of Rebbe Shimon. The Omer Zeho Ish. This is the man. Rebbe Shimon koye b'mecha b'chiyusa b'mari sha'aretz. So he was the. Let's see what he means by mari sha'aretz u'markis mamuchos. Because of the power of the Torah of Rebbe Shimon. Kama pitrim berikika mishtatkim b'yom den beginah. Kama maktaragim berikia. So maktaragim, what? Are accusers that are in the heaven nishkat, and they all quieted down b'yom hazeh b'schuscha, because of your schus. Now this indicates that the accusers are around all the time. The Nochav Rebbe Shimon ben Yochai, the Marach Mishtakach Bei B'Kol Yom. Zehu Rebbe Shimon is, and it says like this: this is Rebbe Shimon. Rebbe Shimon ben Yochai Shachakodesh Baruch Hu Mishtavach B'Kol Yom Achol Yom Lamala. He praises, brings tremendous praise in Rebbe Shimon up above. So Kol Hu Lonki La'ela V'Sata Hep is his portion up above and down below. Ashrei Chelko Began Eden Elyon Began Eden Atachnon, and he mentioned this the Gan Eden Atachnon before, which he said is in the Yesod of the Nukva. Didn't quite hear exactly how that works. So anyway, but he says that's the Elyon Atachnon. Kama Genizim Eloyim Istamrim Lai. Kama Otzras, how many storehouses or treasure houses Elyonim Shemorim lo that are guarded for him. Alei Itmar, on him it is written, a Rebbe Shimon Mahapasuk, Va'ata Lech Lakates, go to the end. Now what does that mean? Tifater the base Alama. So you Tifater, the base Alama, Alamacha. So it should be, I don't know what Tifater to, you should be excused now into the place of your final resting, your Alamacha. V'tanura B'chim Tzadikim, it should be rest over there with the Tzadikim B'Olam Elyon in the upper world. But the Amba B'Techias Mesim, and that you should be able to stand when the time comes, the Goralacha, to your portion that you are entitled to when the Techias Mesim comes about. The Lakacha says, Anita and the Chelkacha, Acher Hachia, so then you'll take it. It'll be a part of your portion after the resurrection. L'kates Yamim, and it will last until the end of days, Ba'achris Yamim Be'ez Geula, at the time of the Mashiach b'mhebi Amenu, Amen. And that's it. That is the Idra Zuta. Fantastic. Let me put this over here. I guess that was it.